Tonight, no love lost anytime North Carolina and NC State get together. This one is huge in the ACC standings with both teams chasing a double bye. Here's Hubert Davis and Will Wade on the matchup.
They do a really good job of getting steals and deflections, disrupting you on the defensive end, not allowing you to feel, from an offensive standpoint to consistently stay in rhythm. And so I think they're really good at disrupting and getting steals and deflections. Obviously, from an offensive standpoint, they can really shoot the basketball. Just a number of guys that can get hot and stay hot from the perimeter. But, they also can get consistent points in the paint, whether it's post-ups. Kadir has been awesome, in regards to his playmaking skills. And I think those are just a couple things that make them a good basketball team.
They're huge. That's the biggest challenge. We're not the biggest bunch, and they're massive on the on the front line, which has been a major issue for us this season. So they've got great personnel. They've got really good players. Trimble's a veteran guard, been around a long time, very, very savvy. They shoot the ball well. So be a massive challenge for us matching up with them.
Coach Wade seems a little bit more zen. He was calling his team soft the other day. Now he's a little bit more regulated. We like that. All right, Caleb Wilson and Henry Vesar were absent in their last timeout. How do you explain the production that the teammates around him were able to produce without those two in the game? I didn't think it was going to be that close.
Well, I think you just got to have a next man up mentality. Injuries happen. In our national championship run, a lot of people remember Kevin Ware breaking his leg. It was one of those things that was front and center. Everybody saw it. What was next man up mentality? We had a walk-on named Tim Henderson help us win a national championship. These guys, I think it's going to help them in the long run to be able to see more and more production from these guys who maybe haven't gotten the same opportunity, because you look at the numbers with Caleb Wilson and Henry Vesar. Those are two guys, numbers-wise, that could both be first-team All-ACC caliber players. So when you get Jaron Stevenson more minutes and see his production, and you get Zayden High in there to rebound, to defend, to get more of a flow, I just think it's going to be by committee that they have to make up for such dramatic production in that front.
Anybody else that has stood out to you in that last matchup without those two in the game that you felt like has found their footing with those two out of the lineup?
I think Luka Bogovac is one of the guys who has to be aggressive, and he's done a good job. Early on, I thought some of his shot selection was a little iffy, and that's why his percentages were kind of struggling, but his efficiency has continued to go up because he's kind of playing off those bigs, and he was still able to do that even without Big Henry and Caleb Wilson in the game. That gives me a ton of confidence he's finding a rhythm right now.
And for NC State and this Will Wade squad, back-to-back losses, what's critical for them in this game?
You mentioned how Will Wade was after the game. NC State has to play pissed off, and they got to play with the edge if they want to come in and have UNC come to their house and find a way to win. They're going to be ready for the physicality, but it's about execution. And ultimately, if Caleb Wilson doesn't play in this game, that's a huge advantage for NC State because they have a small ball four in Darren Williams that wants to play on the perimeter. So you'd like to think they're going to be able to handle the inside presence a little bit better. Then Allen Lubin has to be a stud in this game. Certainly might have it out for Carolina and their fans after his experiences, we'll say.
I didn't know that this was a rivalry. NC State doesn't have a lacrosse team.
Did you talk to Joel Berry?
I did talk to Joel Berry.
So you can't listen to Joel Berry. That's your
What do
first
you think
mistake.
about Is it a rivalry?
Oh, of course.
Okay.
You're going to see the environment be unmatched. UNC is about to go into a hornet's nest, and this is going to be an incredibly difficult win for UNC to get. Again, how this schedule plays out for UNC is very important. They got 6 games left.
Right.
I think with Caleb Wilson out, if you go 3 for 3, you're going to be in good shape. If you go 4-2, you're going to be in great shape, and it can start with this NC State win.
I'm looking forward to that now that I have learned it is in fact, a rivalry by Joel Berry.
Stop listening to Joel Berry.
I'm going to tell. I hope he's watching.
Tonight's Super Tuesday doubleheader starts with number 16 North Carolina facing NC State following us at 7 Eastern, then Kentucky hosting Georgia. Both are on ESPN and the ESPN app. Seth Trimble from Carolina, top of the hour. They are not 100%. Tribble, by the way, scored 19 points last time out against Pitt, his third most in a game this season. We will break down that game and what to look for and how Tribble can get some help.
What to watch for is brought to you by Pizza Hut. Feed good times.
What to watch for tonight, coming up next on ESPN. Number 16, North Carolina in Raleigh to face NC State Tar Heels without freshman star Caleb Wilson. Suffered a fractured left hand. He's inching toward a return soon, according to head coach Hubert Davis, but he's right there watching on. You're seeing him on the court pregame. They're not going to see Henry Vassar as well tonight due to a lower body injury. As Seth Greenberg back here with us to get us ready for this doubleheader on ESPN. So how do the Tar Heels find a way to kind of duplicate that offense, losing Vassar and losing Wilson in a game like this?
They're losing their whole front court. Now, when they played Pitt this past week, all right, they got 32 points from Jaron Stevenson and Zayden High. They're going to have to duplicate that because this is an NC State team that has a guy that played for Carolina last year, Ben Al Lubin. All right, he's going to want a little piece of the heels. That's going to kind of be a game into the game. But Zayden High, he's got to be active. He's got to be physical. He's got to be able to score it. And Jaron Stevenson not only knock down jumpers, he's got to help them rebound the ball. On the perimeter, Seth Tribble, the leader of the pack.
Yep.
And I'm talking about North Carolina, not the pack.
Yeah.
He's got to be really solid on the ball against a really tough matchup in Copeland, because Copeland's a 6', 7-inch point guard. You must keep him out of the lane.
I'm going to talk about the pack. Despite North Carolina being ranked, NC State is favored by 8.5 points in this one at home, according to DraftKings Sportsbook. We'll see them at the half. Enjoy a doubleheader of hoops coming your way after this.
You're watching ESPN Super Tuesday, presented by Progressive Insurance. It's already hard to hear inside the Lenovo Center, packed to the rafters for the 250th edition of one of the nastiest rivalries in the ACC. North Carolina and NC State meeting for the only time in the regular season this year, which means this game might be twice as fun, twice as vitriolic. NC State and UNC, both NCAA tournament hopefuls, looking to pad their resumes tonight in the top 7 in the league. But forget resumes. This is a game that will resonate across the state all year long. Kevin Brown, Corey Alexander, used to be the big rivalry here in the state. It could be a big one tonight. North Carolina's shorthanded, no Wilson, no Vassar, but NC State and Carolina, the vitriol is not fake. There's some real hatred in this game.
And in the state, it's still a big rivalry. There's no use to be with that. There's absolute hatred between these two universities, between these two programs. When you consider coming into this, when the only time they'll meet this season from a regular season standpoint for the first time in 107 years. And of course, QC, quality control / Quality Copeland, made sure to start the talking.
Yeah, and it's meeting number 250, the big round number. Usually, this has gone Carolina's way. 168-81, the all-time lead. They've won 8 of the last 10. NC State memorably beat the Heels a couple of years ago in the ACC championship game en route to the Final Four. They are jumping for joy here in Raleigh, where you're watching the ACC on ESPN. North Carolina without Caleb Wilson with a broken bone in his hand, and Henry Vassar was announced 90 minutes before the game, out again with a lower extremity issue. And there is Ben Allen Lubin, a Tar Heel a year ago, winning the opening tip for the Wolfpack here in 2026. NC State at home starts with the ball.
And we watched Will Wade rehearse this with this team, had a design play. He actually threw the ball up in their shoot-around today, expecting to win the tip.
And the first shot of the game is a 3 short from Trey Holloman. So North Carolina, well, with Derek Dixon, Seth Trumbull, and then Luka Bogovac again. And we have an injured Trey Holloman after taking the first shot. The NC State senior guard limps to the bench just 27 seconds in.
And Holloman, who shot the 3 right in front of UNC's bench, as he backs up on 1 foot. You can see him turn that ankle, tries to get back defensively. But nice job by our officiating crew stopping it to allow him to get off the floor.
So Matt Abel in the game instantly. The bigs for Carolina. Here's one of them, Jaron Stevenson. He gets tied up by Abel. And the arrow to Carolina as you meet our officials, Pat Driscoll, Brian O'Connell, and Michael Greenstein. As Trey Holloman will limp past the bench and toward the NC State locker room.
And Trey Holloman, who had a strong performance against North Carolina a season ago when he was at Michigan State in the Maui Invitational, was planning to play an important role in this game for the Wolfpack.
Here's Zayden High, who fills out the lineup, had a career-high game Saturday, playing for the two injured bigs. High had 15 points, 7 rebounds in 32 minutes. Deep shot clock for Seth Trimble, guarded by Copeland. Trimble has to put it up, and he hits the back of the rim as there's a whistle in there. Copeland is hit for a foul right at the expiration of the clock.
And the conversation has begun. Quadia Copeland is going to have to be calmed down by his head coach, Will Wade, in his first season at NC State. And Will Wade, who brought Quadia Copeland with him from McNeese, knows him as well as anyone, has put the basketball in his hand and has him at the point guard position this year. And you see Will Wade irate about the call after watching it.
Well, the question is, and Pat Driscoll's just said this into the mic here, whether or not that foul occurred before the shot clock expired. That's what the officials will review, and Will Wade gets a makeshift huddle just 67 seconds into this game.
So it's been an interesting start, to say the least, as Seth Trimble is trying to get position to get a good look, and it seems as though in live action, it looks as though he got that shot off.
And the officials will confirm that it is a 2-shot foul. Copeland with the game's first.
And Will Wade still pleading his case with Pat Driscoll after watching the replay on the iPad on the sideline. Disappointed with that call.
These officials will likely have their work cut out for them tonight as Trimble rattles out the first free throw. Will Wade is still talking to Pat Driscoll about it. He eases up and gives him a neck massage.
If anyone ever wants to know Will Wade in a 30-second span, that is him. That's his personality. He's irate, but at the same time, it ends up with he and Pat Driscoll laughing about something.
Will Wade's press conferences this year have either been a shade of irate or a shade of laughing. It was the former Saturday after NC State blew a late lead against Miami. Darian Williams gets an early paint touch, and he has the game's first field goal.
And that's an important sign.
Oh my! Trimble tried to ruin the rim, and then off the miss, Dixon is hit with a foul.
Let me tell you what, KB, there is some juice. I have been on Seth Trimble for years about attacking the basket as such, and he went to the rim with reckless abandon, unable to finish it. Copeland gets the rebound and gets fouled, but Seth Trimble bringing his best to the fight early.
That's not a miss dunk you would mind.
You don't mind that one. You like the aggressive attack to the rim.
NC State 9-2 start in the league, lost 2 straight last week, crushed at Louisville, and then against Miami, an 8-0 run for the Canes in the final minute. But there is the former heel, Ben Allen Lubin, and NC State scores on back-to-back trips.
And Ben Allen Lubin, a topic of a lot of conversation in the preseason between these two schools, really more so from the Wolfpack. But if they've been able to attack the basket and score twice, the first was Darian Williams. This time is Ben Allen Lubin going to the jump hook, and then just a little gesture of just too small to guard me in the post.
Luka Bogovac wraps it around to Dixon. Into Zayden High. High will slam it off a career-high Saturday. Zayden High in big minutes with another big bucket.
Zayden High stepping up when his number is called and looking forward to this opportunity to play against Ben Allen Lubin, who Hubert Davis decided to go a different direction, not bring him back. NC State had a home for him after he finished the season so well a season ago.
Dixon. Tar Heels 79-65 winners over Pitt Saturday. Never trailed. That game was really never in doubt. Playing without their top 2 scorers for a second straight game. Trimble. Dixon with an open look. Bricks the 3 badly. Williams flying in for the rebound, which is last touch by Williams and will belong to Carolina. Darian would like a challenge, but it's awfully early to do that.
Well, you're going to go look at the replay regardless, but Hubert Davis in his 5th season, and of course playing at the University of North Carolina, very familiar with this rivalry and understands the importance of this game, especially here within the state of North Carolina.
Got there in the late 80s, has been affiliated with the Tar Heels ever since. 5th year as head coach, and he's won 20 or more all 5. Stevenson, somehow that ball found its way to Jaron Stevenson, who has a 3-point play opportunity.
Jaron Stevenson really picking up his offensive output as of late. It started at the game in Charlottesville. You and I did that game. Jaron Stevenson scored 17 points in that game, the majority of that in the second half. And he has now had double-figure scoring in 3 of his last 6 games and is able to complete the 3-point play to get off to a good start here this evening.
Season high 19 Saturday for Jaron Stevenson, who has an outsized role now with the loss of Wilson and Vessar. 5 straight for Carolina to jump back in front. Williams bangs it home from around the elbow.
So remember what Will Wade told us earlier today. What happens with Darian Williams normally is based upon what he does with his first shot attempt. They ran action to get him a jump hook in the post. He was able to get a bucket to go, and that normally is a sign that he's going to have a strong offensive performance.
Here's Stevenson for 3. Rebound, Paul McNeil Jr., great shooter for the Wolfpack. Williams with a transition triple. On the other side, Trimble cannot answer. Thrown by High to Abel. Stevenson collects the loose ball.
Zayden High just went and took that one away from Ben Allen Lubin. Lubin thought he had a short-handed rebound. Zayden High making the extra effort to come up with the offensive board.
There's Bogovac. And a great ball handler this year, but he turns it over. A very rare occurrence for Luka Bogovac. Copeland on the run out. Copeland, Abel, sticks it. A corner 3. Stevenson runs the floor, and he gets to the line as Williams lands very hard. Trey Holloman left this game, remember, about a half a minute in, and now Darian Williams is on the ground after a hard spill, and there is some serious blood.
Darian Williams, his feet got caught up with Jaron Stevenson, so was unable to control his fall, and on the way down, unable to get his hands down, lands with his face to the floor. And you see immediately the training staff getting over there with towels.
Blood pouring out of Williams' face. Towels covering Williams and the floor. Will Wade and NC State will check on Darian Williams. Will's in the huddle right now. He's going to let his staff members go over to Darian, who's getting toweled off right now. Williams was called for the foul, and Williams obviously took the worst end of that. Towels to the face, and Darian will be helped up, so we will check on him when we come back to Raleigh. We're going to show you one look at the Darian Williams injury here. The left side of his face hit the floor hard, Corey, on this play.
Well, you see his feet get tangled up with Jaron Stevenson, and at that point, he can't control his fall and his momentum. And he's top heavy, headed to the ground, hits his face on the ground. But unfortunately, he was able to get up and walk off on his own power into the training room. And I would not be shocked, not to say that's going to happen, but I would not be shocked, especially in this game, in this rivalry. And what Darian Williams in the first time of this rivalry has already meant to it, I would not be shocked if we see him back on the floor.
He's already scored 7 points. And he's a guy who at ACC Media Day said, I hate UNC. He said that before even playing a game at NC State. He's a big reason why State has an early lead. Terrence Arsenault has replaced him. Lubin finds a cutting Copeland. The big to the point guard for two.
The big and the point guard are pretty much the same height. That's the craziest part, is this is a smaller NC State team with Ben Allen Lubin at 6'7", manning the post, but a 6'6" point guard in Quadia Copeland gives them the right size to be able to play, especially against the perimeter, a taller perimeter team.
Bogavac can't connect. UNC is 0 for 5 from 3 to start. Copeland going to bully his way into Trimble. Shot fake and finish.
And then makes the same gesture. You're too small. We talked about a 6'6" point guard.
Jonathan Powell off the bench answers. Carolina's taken 3 chances to run after makes and has been successful early.
And this is what Hubert Davis talked to us pregame about. He wants his team to play faster, and he felt like they did that Saturday versus Pittsburgh, and they don't have their 2 bigs up front, so a smaller team, but they're able to play much faster.
Off the Matt Abel miss, here is Dixon. Tar Heels at Pitt had 18 assists, only 4 turnovers. They have the best assist to turnover number right now in Carolina history. On the kick of 3, off the top of the backboard from Dixon. Here's Copeland. Off a tough couple of games, he is asserting his presence early. His shot is tipped out to Paul McNeil. Looking for Lubin against Stevenson. One dribble, lefty finish.
The ACC's leader in field goal percentage does a tremendous job of burying Jaron Stevenson under the basket, making it simple for the left-hand layup.
Seven gone by, Packed by 7. Here's Dixon. Bogavac, not a clean look. Skips it all the way to Trimble, who hesitated on a 3, left it short for 2. Lubin has the rebound.
I agree. Seth Trimble had a good look from 3 that he gave away, and that's the same spot where he made the game winner versus Duke, of course, in a different venue. And then Copeland attacks the basket, picks up the foul against Trimble. Quadia Copeland and Ben Allen Lubin connecting on a number of plays. Copeland gets the layup off of a nice find, and then the roles are reversed as Copeland finds Ben Allen Lubin for the post up. He's able to go to the left hand and finish over Stevenson.
Quadia Copeland misses on the first free throw. Remember, NC State's coming off a devastating loss scoring on Saturday. They led Miami by 8 in the final minute, or by 7. Miami went on an 8-0 run in the last 52 seconds, and a big part of that, Copeland missed the front end of a 1-and-1, leading to Darian Williams fouling through Washington, who had all 3 free throws. Miami absolutely stole a game. If there's any more desperation you could have for NC State against Carolina, they may have a little extra.
They do have that extra. When you also consider the fact that this team and this rivalry, and there are guys that came here with already predetermined hate for North Carolina wearing their retro uniforms in this game, but that's part of being here with the Wolfpack. It's bred as Allen Breed gets into the game. We haven't seen a lot of him in ACC play. Started the first 5 games for the Wolfpack. Hasn't played much since.
Arsenault knocked it off high. It'll be NC State ball.
And that's an area where the Tar Heels have been so good as of late. Only 4 turnovers against Pitt on Saturday. Already their second turnover here today.
Yeah, you mentioned we haven't seen Breed a lot. Only the second time in 9 games. Usually Darian Williams operates the point when Copeland takes his seat. As Abel buries his second 3, and NC State is rolling.
And Matt Abel is around that territory now where you don't consider yourself to be a freshman anymore. He's been a contributor, and his role has been increased with Trey Holloman getting injured on the first offensive possession.
Trimble and Namusa Sanye back up big, reaches in for the foul. NC State is 9 for 13, 3 for 4 from 3, and up 11 on Carolina. ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by Progressive Insurance. Bundle home and auto and save. Visit progressive.com.
What are your thoughts on the fan base so far, and what have you learned about NC State too?
The fans are crazy. We hate UNC, which I don't have a problem. I hate UNC as well.
Where does the UNC hatred stem from?
I think their coach did Vin wrong, and then he did Kerwin Walton wrong, my old teammate at Tech when he was there. So yeah, I just don't like the guy.
All right.
I just don't like the guy. Not a lot of people say that about Hubert Davis, but I just don't like the guy. Came pretty easily for Darian Williams preseason.
Well, Darian Williams with 7 points, 3 of 3 from the field already. Right now, Hubert Davis probably doesn't like him much either. So I think that feeling could be reciprocal. But we did get an update. Darian Williams is being stitched up, has not been cleared from the trainer yet, but is still likely to return.
Well, Williams took that hard spill early. He left the game. Trey Holloman left the game 27 seconds in. He's back on the bench after appearing to roll his ankle. NC State hasn't needed him. Trimble splits the pair. The Wolfpack up 10. But that just gives you an idea, Corey, of what kind of tension there is in this rivalry. Darian Williams, before he'd even played a game at the Lenovo Center, was already saying, I hate UNC.
Well, I mean, again, when you decide that you're going to be a part of the Wolfpack, then you understand what goes with that. And what goes with that is hating the rival UNC. And you can tell, I was walking around taking the poll pre-game, talking to anyone that I knew existed in this rivalry before 1989. And asking, what is a bigger rivalry? Is it this or is it Duke? And from me as a viewer, watching ACC basketball growing up when there were 8 teams in the league, this was just as big of a rivalry coming to that time as was the UNC-Duke rivalry, if not bigger.
Certainly in the 70s, NC State was on a roll in this rivalry. They're on a roll right now. Matt Abel is taking this rivalry and making it his own. He's 3 for 3 from deep.
And without Caleb Wilson and Henry Bessar on the floor, there are a lot of NBA scouts here, and one of the reasons they want to see Matt Abel, and he is absolutely having a strong performance to start this game.
Trimble against Sagne, try to cross him up. Sagne holds his ground. Now Zayden High, and High will roll it home.
Great patience by Zayden High. The pump fake gets 2 Wolfpack defenders in the air, allows him to spin for the jump hook.
NC State 8 of its last 10 offensively, and the only player on the floor who scored for them tonight is Abel. Arsenault trying to change that. His shot deflected, bodied by Trimble, and then blocked by High. There's Kyan Evans, their backup point guard.
And you've got the mismatch. Yusef Trimble has to be in drive.
Sagne stuffed him, but High is there for the loose change and a second straight bucket. Zayden High's got 6.
And Zayden High coming off a career-high 15 points and a career-high 32 minutes to go along with the career-high 7 rebounds on Saturday is having an impact here in the first half as well.
Carolina foul is on Jaden Young as we go back to High.
Is Zayden High the pump fake, allows him to spin back, go over the left shoulder, that right-hand jump hook, and then Seth Trimble is unable to get past Sagne, but for the second time, Zayden High just absolutely takes the basketball away from a Wolfpack player with his hands on the basketball and turns it into 2 more second chance points.
High barely played as a freshman, was away from the team last year, served a suspension for an off-the-court incident, returned to the team University this year. He was averaging 1.6 points per game coming into Saturday, and Hubert Davis said it's a great story for a coach. No better example of wait for your number to be called. You never know when it will be. And High took over the game against Pitt. He's got the last 2 buckets here as Carolina has the ball down 9. Bogovac gets the switch on to Sagne and bounces away from it. And that ball was knocked out of bounds by NC State with 15 to shoot.
But when you watch the Tar Heels trying to penetrate, all you see is a pack of white jerseys, pun intended. But when they're taking away all the driving lanes right there, and the Wolfpack doing a great job staying in those gaps, not making it seem as though there's much available to any of the Tar Heels off the bounce.
They have been at times this year, an elite defensive team, NC State, just not with consistency. Young misses a three, and High draws a foul. Going to go on Trey Holloman, his first, much to Will Wade's dismay. It's the Wolfpack's fifth. Michael Greenstein gives Will what he considers an unsatisfactory explanation. Right
we
side
see
of
Trey Holloman trying to keep Zayden High off of the offensive glass.
You think he did it legally?
That's why I stopped talking.
Leave it up to interpretation. Deep shot clock. Evans misses a three. And Abel bounces it to Holloman.
Great job by Abel keeping that in bounds.
Breed, Abel, shot fake, driving. And Abel throws it to Sonye as an outlet. Sonye with a lot of dribbling here will leave it short. He's on the ground and he is hurt.
No, so Hubert Davis is going to be upset about this, because with Sonye going down, that stops the break for the Tar Heels.
Yeah, Michael Greenstein whistled the dead immediately.
And we've got the third member of the Wolfpack injured in this first half as Sonye attacks the basket.
Turned the left ankle on the fall.
But the problem for Hubert Davis is that the injury timeout from the officials happens while his team has numbers going down the floor looking for an easy bucket. That's the reason that he's having that conversation with Michael Greenstein at the moment.
NC State's third string big man, 6'10" senior Scotty Ebube, doesn't play a lot, only 12 games, but he is also out and unavailable today. So at the moment, Sonye is out. Darian Williams has not returned to the bench after we were told he was getting stitches on the left side of his head. They don't have Ebube for backup depth, which is going to be a lot on Van Allen Lubin. And of course, on the other NCA, no Caleb Wilson, no Henry Vessard tonight. So this is starting to turn into a war of attrition in the first half.
Yeah, if there is a game for the Wolfpack that they may not need their size as much, it would be this one, simply because, you hear that ovation.
Hey, who's number 34? Darian Williams with a new uniform and a new left side of the face has returned to the floor.
And he runs out of the tunnel to the ovation of the Lenovo Center. We won't call it quite Willis Reed, but it was definitely an ovation.
And Darian's going to the table as Zayden High tips in another bucket off the Bogavant's miss. That's 6 in a row for High, who's got a Carolina high 8.
Now, one of the things that High is doing is taking advantage of anyone that's on the floor and their lack of size for the Tar Heels on the offensive glass.
3 Carolina players went up for that rebound. Bogavant's bounces, gets it back from Stevenson. In and out, a great look for 3. High is in there again, and he is adjudicated short touched at last. And look who's coming back. I think it would be a big ovation. The NC State fans got a little caught up in the last play, who the ball was off of, but Darian Williams, wearing a nameless number 34, the typical number 1, has returned to the game.
And Hubert Davis is going to challenge this one. I think this is a very good challenge when you consider
who has elected to challenge the call on the floor.
Matt Abel coming in for that rebound, takes that basketball out of bounds. I think this is a good challenge. We'll look at it when we return.
This will be our 8-minute timeout here in Raleigh. Got it.
After review, the call on the floor has been overturned. It will be blue basketball. They will keep their challenge as well as the timeout.
Kev said thank you. Another amazing day of college hoops we have on the menu. Carolina did win the challenge. The ball was out of bounds off Matt Abel, so UNC retains its challenge. We'll have one remaining for the rest of the game.
Yeah, we saw this one in the live action. Pretty simple to overturn this. Matt Abel's momentum taking him toward the sideline, but he did a great job of selling it afterwards, forcing UNC to use the challenge to get the basketball back.
NC State by 7. Heels have led for just 30 seconds. They've stayed in this game on the offensive glass, and they have held NC State scoreless for over 3 minutes now. Trimble with 3 to shoot over Williams. Off the side of the rim, North Carolina is 1 for 11 from 3. Here goes Copeland, plays it home.
Those are the attempts that Will Wade wants to see from Quadir Copeland, playing fast and using his size to attack the basket, not settling on the perimeter.
Copeland is 3 for 5, 7 points, 3 assists, and nary a turnover. Bogovac got switched on to Lubin, and that's the first foul on Van Allen Lubin.
The Wolfpack want to be able to take advantage of mismatches, and it's a mismatch when you've got Quadir Copeland with a head of steam attacking Luka Bogovac, able to get to the basket with a beautiful move and easily score the layup over the top.
Here's the thing with Quadir Copeland. Will Wade was telling us in shoot-around, it's not always ideal when he takes a lot of shots. They're 14-1 when he has less than 10 field goal attempts. Now he's already got 5 tonight, but you said, Corey, they're a good 5.
Yeah, if he gets 15 layups, Will Wade will take that. He doesn't want him taking a bunch of threes.
I think he's about to get a layup. A turnover turned into a pick 6 out of Zayden High's hands, and the Wolfpack faithful are on their feet again. Stevenson fouled by, it'll be the new 34, Darian Williams. That's his second foul, though first wearing that uniform. Hey, tonight, Georgia and Kentucky continue our Super Tuesday right here on ESPN. Bulldogs slumping a little bit right now, trying to stay in the NCAA tournament picture against Otega, Owe, and the Wildcats. That will follow us, ESPN and the ESPN app. And Darian Williams will stay in the game with 2 fouls. Jaron Stevenson, 4 for 4 at the line. He was 4 for 4 at the line Saturday, and he's now got 7.
How about this front line for the Tar Heels? Jaron Stevenson and Zayden High have provided the majority of the offense for North Carolina throughout this game. They're going to need to get some production from their guards if they want to try to get a win here on the road.
Here's Williams wearing that New Jersey after the bloody fall. Left it short, but Lubin would not.
Well, it's been Zayden High on the offensive glass for the majority of this game. Van Allen Lubin gives his old team a taste of his own medicine, attacking the offensive glass and slamming home 2 second chance points.
Under 6 to play in the first half, dominated by the home team. Dixon, step back, short. Knocked out by Powell to Stevenson. Another offensive rebound for Carolina. And Powell bricks a 3. They just can't hit from out there. Trimble has yet another offensive board. Stevenson 3. Another missed one. High tips it out to Dixon. The 4th shot attempt could be coming in this possession. And they might as well take it from 2 as High misses badly on a 3. Carolina is 1 for 13 out there. Copeland going into everybody. might need to update that 10 shot attempt graphic.
Once again, as long as it's 10 layups, and he is putting so much pressure on North Carolina's defense, trying to keep him out of the painted area and out of transition.
High. Spins around Lubin, finds Powell. Another missed three-pointer. It's a broken record. Copeland penetrating. He is fouled. Smacks the floor. Roars to the red-clad faithful. And he will shoot free throws with NC State absolutely feeling themselves.
Quadir Copeland is absolutely a fan favorite here in Raleigh, and he is showing why. He was standing at midcourt, as he often does, pregame, not warming up, just standing and looking, talking to himself, talking to anyone who is willing to talk to him from the opposing team. And Jaden Young has a little bit of conversation, and he lets him know what he's hitting for here tonight. And his play has shown absolutely that.
If there was an all-entertainment team in college basketball this year, you'd have to put Quadir Copeland front and center.
Well, do you remember when I asked him what he had for him tonight? What did he say?
You tell the folks what he said.
Well, sorry to admit the fact that you don't pay attention. But he said, oh, it's going to be a show. It was that simple. It will be a show. And it has been a show as he checks out right now with a conversation with his coach, Will Wade, after knocking down the second free throw.
Well, the other thing he said, he touted his success in rivalry games. Now, we don't know if he's played in a rivalry game quite like this one. High is undercut by Breed and fouled.
Well, Will Wade did tell us to fact check that. Quadir made it very clear that he's undefeated in rivalry games. But this is the first time participating in this rivalry.
Breed with a foul. It's the 7th on State as Quadir Copeland gets a rest. Zayden High, who is 6 of 11 at the free throw line, will shoot 2. And now 6 for 12. Drake is happy about it. Stanley from the office is enthralled. Morgan Freeman is very sternly looking at Zayden High. Mike Wazowski's back there. All nature of man and beast. High missed them both. $15 the lead for NC State, which has not turned it over and is shooting 61%. Sanye just fell. A much needed stoppage for North Carolina. Undermanned Tar Heels are getting undercut by Quadir Copeland.
Most places QC stands for quality control. Here is Quadir Copeland flexing in front of the home folks.
The Jeep Halftime Report is on the way. Coming up, we'll check in on Red Hot Florida, Red Hot Michael Brown, and the last remaining unbeaten in college basketball. Coach, why can't Carolina stop NC State?
The versatility of NC State, offensively, defensively, Quadir Copeland is an absolute matchup problem. But Corey Alexander, you know this. This is a statement game for State, for their fans, for their program to say we are back. I don't care who's on the other team for Carolina.
Absolutely, Coach Greenberg, and you know so much about this rivalry. As a matter of fact, when you were an assistant coach at Virginia, you knew that this was the rivalry in the state of North Carolina. Before there was North Carolina Duke, there was North Carolina and NC State. And a lot of it has to do with arguably the greatest player in ACC history, DT, that's right, David Thompson in the building, 1974 national champion, but also with the statue outside. But the 1973 team was undefeated here for the Wolfpack. DT, one of the best to ever do it on the ACC floor.
He was part of 9-game win streak NC State had against North Carolina as they owned this rivalry in the 60s and 70s before Carolina really turns it around. There's The number 44 hanging forever in the rafters here in Raleigh. First of those 2 Wolfpack national championships. Zayden High hit the first of was a 1-and-1 situation, and High goes 2 for 2. Foul was the second on Allen Breed, who takes a seat. Copeland and Lubin are back in for Breed and Saunier. NC State barely gets it across in time. 6 assists, 1 turnover for the Wolfpack. 14 for 23 shooting. McNeil has been quiet until now.
The 4th assist for Copeland, but more importantly, getting Paul McNeil established can pay heavy dividends for the Wolfpack as Derek Dixon's able to get to the rim for the layup.
UNC's starting backcourt had been 0 for 12 before that Dixon drive. Copeland again. Rebound to Powell.
And those are the shots that Will Wade can do without no one else touching the basketball, and it turns into an easy bucket on the other end for the Tar Heels.
Trimble with another fast break bucket. That's the pace Hubert Davis told us he saw more of on Saturday and wanted to see today. Lubin just toasts High. Van Allen Lubin, perfect from the field. He's 4 for 4.
And we asked Will Wade, did he need to have a conversation with Van Allen Lubin going up against his former team, similar to what he had with Quadir Copeland playing against his previous team when they played Syracuse? He made it clear to us, no, don't have to say a word. He is solid as a rock. We know he will show up and be consistent.
Copeland spinning, missing. Copeland though wrestles the ball from Trimble, and NC State has the arrow. Well, Will Wade threw a little fuel on the fire, speaking this summer to a group of Wolfpack members at a dinner on Van Allen Lubin. The other school was too dumb to play him. I don't know why the hell they didn't play him, but we're going to play him, so he's going to average 15 and 8. We're very excited about Van. How far off is he? Not far. He's averaging 14 and 7, and tonight he's got 8 and 4.
Which are both career highs. And you're talking about a young man who started 20 games for the Tar Heels last season. Ended the season very well as their starting center and really one of their most reliable players.
Meanwhile, McNeil's bucket stretches the lead to 16. Copeland has picked up 2 straight assists, and McNeil wedges that ball away from Dixon. NC State has been all over every loose ball tonight. That's poked away from Trimble. Abel takes it. Abel is denied. It'll be State ball with 1:24 in the half. Thursday night, great doubleheader for you. On the women's side, Duke is unbeaten in the ACC, 14-0, and hosts NC State at 7 Eastern, followed by 7th-ranked LSU, visiting number 17 Ole Miss in Oxford. ESPN and the ESPN app to watch 3 top 25 teams. Here's Copeland off the inbound. Copeland left it short, try it again, and poked it away from Powell. Well, he's made it in the double-figure shot attempts already, Copeland. He's 5 for 11 in this first half. But he does have 5 assists, no turnovers to go with it.
Only 1, maybe 2 of those shots Will Wade would do without. But everything that he's done has been in the painted area. He's been attacking off the bounce. Just unable to finish on the last 2 possessions.
There's an offensive foul.
We're going to get Zayden High trying to get post position against Van Allen Lubin.
First foul on High. NC State for 30 field goal attempts, 23 from 2, 7 from 3. North Carolina, 28 field goal attempts, 15 from 3.
And that should be opposite because NC State is the really good three-point shooting team. As a matter of fact, they lead the ACC in percentage at 39.6%. But they've been able to attack and dominate the painted area simply because there's no Henry Bessard and there's no Caleb Wilson in the lineup in Carolina Blue.
Another missed 3 by Dixon. They're 1 out of 16.
And they've had 8 different players take a 3.
Lubin's going to get hit with his second foul here at the end of the half, an offensive foul.
And Will Wade's going to get Lubin out of the game. Saunier will come back in to make sure that he doesn't pick up a third on a defensive possession, as Lubin's unable to come to a stop before the collision with Powell, picking up that second foul.
So Lubin and Williams each with 2 fouls. And they'll sit out the final half minute. Neither team has used a timeout in this half. Bogavats way short. Good defense by McNeil on the pack. Here's Abel. Shot clock turned off. And Arsenal will shoot a 3 anyway and leave it way short.
Arsenal didn't know the time. He didn't understand the time to score. And Copeland also needs to bring that one back out to make sure the Pack get their last shot of the half.
Dixon instead with a very tough 2. Follow-up from Powell wouldn't go. And that's the half. NC State owned it. They had 3 players leave to injuries at one time. They all returned. Carolina dreadful from deep. Copeland has controlled the game, and the Wolfpack lead by 16 in the 250th meeting of Carolina and State. Plenty to be decided in this one. Still after the break, we go to the studio. Kevin Connors, Seth Greenberg.
Kev, what a scene and what a performance through 20 minutes by the Wolfpack at the half. In that one, the Jeep halftime report. 2-time ACC Coach of the Year, Seth Greenberg. Kevin Connors here with you. NC State's had their peaks and valleys this season. I think right now through 20 minutes would certainly be a peak. How is Will Wade establishing his identity with the Pack?
He's a great communicator. He's a great motivator. And every time he talks, he's not just talking to his team, but he's talking to the fan base at NC State. And he's basically saying, we are not an opponent. We are here to compete, to be the very best team in America. And it starts with competing with Duke and North Carolina. He was not happy with the way his team played last week. He talked about how they were going to be soft. You knew they were going to come out ready to play against Carolina. This is a statement game, not just for Will Wade and for his players, but for the program. This is a program win when you beat Carolina in a packed house, right, as a home game. Big time first half for the Pack.
No Caleb Wilson, no Henry Vessar for North Carolina. And, Coach, the shots just are not going down for the Tar Heels.
You live by the 3, you die by the 3, and they have to settle. They have no inside scoring right now. You take Vessar away, you take Wilson away. What can you do? You got to try to get pinch and kick and get open threes. They're just not making any shots, and they're overpowered by Copeland. Copeland's absolutely dominated the first half.
15 misses from behind the arc, 16 points the deficit.
This halftime report is presented by Jeep. There's only one.
In the moment and compete at a high level.
Big 12 hoops coming your way. Quadir Copeland coming your way, and the second half is as well. This has been the Jeep halftime report.
Welcome back to Super Tuesday, presented by Progressive Insurance. Fans been lined up since about 7:30 a.m. ready to beat their Carolina hooded sweatshirts. And NC State really bludgeoned the heels in that first half. 16-point lead after 20 minutes for the Wolfpack in the 250th meeting of this rivalry. Kevin Brown, Corey Alexander. It was State pretty much from the jump.
It really was, and Darian Williams was able to get them going. And Will Wade told us before the game, it's a great sign when Darian Williams makes his first shot. Going to the post, the jump hook over the top, got him going, and then knocking down a 3 in transition before he had to leave with injury. So, of course, once he goes out, Quadir Copeland takes over with his scoring, with his passing, finding Matt Abel in the corner for 3, and then Ben Allen Lubin playing against his former team, dominating on the glass as well as off the bounce. 8 points for him in the first half as the 3 seniors for NC State have been impactful.
North Carolina, meanwhile, 32 shots from the field, half from 3. They only hit 1. What about the shots Carolina is getting is not working in their favor, and what can they do to get better shots in the second half?
Well, they've got to find a way to be able to get Seth Trimble on the move. They've got to get some motion. Right now, it seems as though North Carolina is playing against a set defense each and every time, and the Wolfpack are in the gaps, leaving no driving room. So make sure to use Seth Trimble as a screener to possibly get him open.
Worst shooting half of the year for Carolina, 8 for 32. They're 100% in the second half as Stevenson scores. How about that note on the right? Wolfpack's largest halftime lead against a ranked team in 3 years. NC State trying to snap a 2-game losing streak. And again, North Carolina playing without Caleb Wilson, out with a broken bone in his left hand. He injured it last Tuesday at Miami. His return is TBD, out indefinitely. Next to him, Andrew Vesar, who is more of a game time call. He found out about 90 minutes before he was out with a lower extremity issue.
Darian Williams not on the floor to start the second half for the Wolfpack. He did return in the first half, so not starting the second half of this game, and also has his #1 jersey on, but does not have on the headband that we've become so accustomed to.
Got some stitches on the left side of his head. Do you make anything of Williams starting the half on the bench? Obviously, it could be injury related as High fouls Lubin, but he did come back into the game.
He did come back into the game, and with him changing back into the #1 jersey, I would expect to see him back on the floor. However, he did hit his head on the floor. So anytime that there's any trauma to the head, you have to take the concussion protocol in place. Even though he did come back on the floor and was cleared by the trainers, symptoms often are lingering. I'm not saying that that's the case, but without him starting the second half, we'll hopefully see him in this game at some point.
Terrence Arsenault started the half for him. 3 fouls picked up by Carolina, by the way, in 38 seconds. Dixon, Bogovac, and High. Dixon and High with their second, Bogovac with his first. The free throws are good for Lubin, who's in the double figures. A little pressure applied here. Carolina breaks it with Dixon. Dixon, Trimble, Bogovac, Stevenson, and High. A makeshift starting 5 for a second straight Tar Heel game.
And the second straight possession where the Tar Heels have gone to Stevenson in the post. He was able to get a bucket on the first possession of the half, taking advantage of a mismatch with McNeil Jr. trying to defend him. This time, the Wolfpack bring the double team, forcing him to get rid of it. Dixon unable to knock down the 3.
Did you like that look from 3?
Yes, because it was created by a teammate. And again, you're Derek Dixon, you have to take that shot. And if you're a Tar Heel fan, you hope that they start to make some of them. Now 1 of 17 from beyond the arc.
Copeland fumbled the ball there. 10 to shoot it. He feeds Lubin, who is denied by Zayden High.
That was a great block by Zayden High from behind, still able to get hand on the basketball.
Here's another 3, another miss from Trimble. Offensive rebound High, and he was pushed and fouled.
This was looking like a sure 2 from the ACC's leading field goal percentage. But Zayden High able to come through and get the basketball. And I know that there are fans that will be saying, yeah, but he fouled him. At the point as to where that ball is out of his hands, that is no longer a foul with the follow-through making contact on the shoulder.
10 and 7, an assist and 2 blocks for Zayden High. But one area Carolina's dominated is on the offensive glass. They're +9, though they're only +2 in second chance points. That ball was deflected by Copeland, so the officials decided. 2 to shoot it. Trimble's got to get it up. In and out.
Seth Trimble now 1 of 8. He's played in this rivalry more than enough. Only 1 double-figure game in this rivalry, and that happened last year in this building when the Tar Heels were able to escape with a 1-possession win. Trimble had 15 points in that game.
Off a miss, McNeil 3. They had Stevenson open under the basket, the Heels. Instead, Dixon finally hits Carolina's second 3.
And it's going to be necessary for the Tar Heels to make some threes. Anytime you are trying to come back from 16 points down, you're going to have to be able to make some threes and put that pressure on the Wolfpack to guard you beyond that line.
Holloman had a quiet first half. Leans in for his first points.
Also necessary in a comeback attempt is stops.
They don't get one there. The Wolfpack do it anyway. Stevenson delivers with a high-flying finish from Dixon. 11 for Jaron Stevenson. He and Zayden High are both in double figures.
But that's North Carolina basketball, playing fast after makes or misses. Even though the Wolfpack were able to score, North Carolina gets it out of bounds and down the floor quickly for an easy bucket.
Holloman rebounded by High, who's got 8 of those. Tar Heels on the run again. Dixon smothered from behind by Arsenault. And Darian Williams will check into the game. 3:22 into the half, replacing Trey Holloman.
Glad to see Darian Williams back on the floor. For those that don't recognize him without the headband, he does have his jersey back on. Probably put it in the washing machine for a little while.
Knocked away by Copeland. The steal off the inbound. Copeland feeds McNeil, who is fouled, though, before the pass. Already 4 fouls in the half against North Carolina.
And remember, North Carolina, doesn't have the depth, especially in the front court, that they normally would have. As Claudia Copeland picks up another steal, gets a hand on the inbound play, attacks the rim, but after passing it off, is fouled, will not shoot free throws because he dropped that one off.
And a big foul. Zayden High, maybe been their best player today, has 3. So High leaves the floor. Stevenson, the lone big now for North Carolina. Williams goes to work and scores it.
Well, picking up where he left off, this is how Darian Williams started the game. Attacking the paint. The turnaround is good.
Bogovats on the switch with Lubin. Feeds an open Dixon. Rebound Copeland. Williams, he's got the switch on Dixon and sensed it immediately. Williams goes to work. Left hand dribble. Right hand miss. A 16-point halftime lead has only been cut by 1. There's a travel against Dixon. 7th turnover for North Carolina.
Darian Williams checks in and gets right to work. Attacking the basket, using that size, his strength, and the skill with the fadeaway.
Time to see what North Carolina needs to do for a better outcome. Brought to you by T. Rowe Price. They're hoping to get Caleb Wilson back at some point this year. Some tough games remaining on North Carolina's schedule, according to ESPN Analytics. The Heels will be underdogs in 2 games against Louisville and at Duke. At Syracuse, not a gimme. Clemson at home, not a gimme. And the best chance is Virginia Tech, but they could beat just about anybody in the league, too.
They can, especially when you consider Henry Bessar. We are uncertain. We know that Caleb Wilson is out indefinitely, but we're uncertain as to the length of time that Henry Bessar will miss. And again, without both of these players in the front court, which is one of the best front courts in the country, you would have to think that Florida is probably at the top. But North Carolina with these 2 players right there, but without them on the floor, you can see the way the Wolfpack have been able to dominate the painted area.
NC State +8 in the paint today, 26 points there. Williams, Copeland denied by Stevenson. With 1 to shoot, Copeland gets fouled. A total bailout at the end of the shot clock, and it's already the 5th Carolina foul.
Nice passes. Copeland sneaks along the baseline. Jaron Stevenson does a tremendous job reacting and blocking that shot, but Seth Trimble getting in the mix and bailing out Copeland, sending him to the free throw stripe off of the offensive rebound.
Copeland is now 3 for 5 at the line today. The foul was the 3rd on Trimble. He will check out. Zayden High, who has 3 fouls, checks back in. Powell leaves the game. Evans is on the floor. Copeland goes 1 for 2. should say Powell is in. Derek Dixon off the floor for Carolina, which was down 16 at the half and still is. Tar Heels a 6 seed in Joe Lunardi's projected bracket. NC State is an 8. Likely tournament teams, not locks. Bogovac strokes a 3.
And great action to get Bogovac on the move. Double screen. As Evans is able to find him to knock down the 3-ball. 13-point game right now, but this is the end of the floor that the Tar Heels are going to have to be able to get some production on if they want to cut into this lead.
McNeil pulls up and buries it. As pure a shooter as you'll see in the nation. Terrence Stevenson may have a bloody nose here. Pat Driscoll stops the game.
And I believe it might have been Quadia Copeland who went and told Pat Driscoll that there was blood on Stevenson.
All this game's missing right now are tears. Blood's on the jersey, right? You can see on the right side, on the right shoulder of Stevenson's jersey. Will Wade's pulling his team together with this stoppage. Their second blood-related stoppage of the game after Darian Williams fell hard on the left side of his face 4 minutes or so into the game. See, Williams has some stitches right there at the eyebrow.
That is a basketball player injury. Every basketball player has that. And yes, look at my left eyebrow. You see that it's partially missing. But that's one way to know a true baller is if they're part of their left eyebrow. It could be on the right side also, but it's normally the left. That their left eyebrow is missing simply because of stitches.
When did you get your first in-game stitches?
First in-game stitches? Oh, that was probably.
What were your worst in-game stitches?
Well, the eyebrow was Popeye Jones. He bit me in practice. But
he bit you?
I went up. So I went to the basket, and I felt something warm on my face, and my teammate Nick Van Exel looked at me and said, "Hey, CA, you're leaking." But Popeye was the one challenging me at the rim. As we have a turnover, an offensive foul.
Bogovac turned it over. Let's get back to the biting just quickly. We got to finish the story.
Well, I know that it was Popeye's teeth. That I know.
So it wasn't an intentional bite.
No,
it wasn't a Tyson Holyfield situation.
It was not that. It was not that.
Okay. Maybe your eyebrow looked like spinach. Williams, big size advantage on Jaden Young. Muscular move for 2.
But he's been able to take advantage of that throughout this game. Regardless as to who's guarding him, Jaden Young, Derek Dixon, Seth Trimble, it doesn't matter. Darian Williams has had success and has made it the largest lead of the game for the Wolfpack.
Copeland knocked it away from high. A Carolina team that has the lowest turnover per game number in UNC history has coughed it up 9 times. Williams again. Fades and nearly had another. Bogovac cuts inside. Luka Bogovac with 5.5.
Hubert Davis has really been excited about the progression of Bogovac. Feels as though he's getting more and more comfortable. And when you look at this North Carolina team, assuming that they're able to get Bessar back healthy soon and Caleb Wilson at the end of the year, this stretch of being able to play without those guys will eventually help them establish some experience for other guys, especially like Zayden High, giving them true depth off the bench.
Inside, Young leads free for 2. Carolina's bench performing now. Young with a basket. Tar Heels down by 18 a moment ago. Have cut it to 14. They cannot trade stops for the rest of this game. Copeland off his own miss. Bully ball from the NC State frontman. 16 for Quadir to go with 5 assists, 4 steals, and no turnovers. Step back 3, missed by Evans, high pointed by McNeil. Here's Quadir. He's having an all-ACC type of night. He's had a lot of them. There's Carolina Blue in a spin cycle right now as Copeland has once again taken over this building.
But his size has been an advantage. A 6'6" point guard, a senior who is strong, getting the job done on the interior as he and Darian Williams embrace, because both of those guys have had their way in the paint throughout this game, taking advantage of mismatches and getting buckets. A 32-22 advantage points in the paint for the Pack.
Great. Celebrating Black History Month here at ESPN, and we lost one of the great leaders, great political activists, great men of courage of our lifetimes today. Jesse Jackson passed away as a Presidential Medal of Freedom winner, an NAACP Spingarn Medal recipient, a presidential candidate twice, a man of deep courage and leadership who was also a quarterback, a wonderful quarterback at North Carolina A&T, an HBCU star, someone whose impact will be felt for generations and generations.
Yeah, absolutely. Had an opportunity to meet the Reverend Jesse Jackson. His son Yusuf actually played football at University of Virginia, and just a kind man, would take his time to speak with anyone, have a conversation, and will absolutely be missed.
Accepted a football scholarship to play in Illinois, transferred to North Carolina A&T, was a defensive end, was a fullback, ended a quarterback there, and that was only a small part of his extraordinary life story. Powell with a finish for North Carolina here in Raleigh, a 58-42 lead for NC State. Wolfpack led this game pretty much the whole way. Carolina only led for 30 seconds early on. Copeland with 18. Here's Darren Williams, CA with 11.
But here's the thing. Now he's playing against a bigger player, but it doesn't stop him. We talked about he is taking advantage of everyone, turning his back, going to the paint. And it's nothing complicated about it. It's simply, you have to guard me one-on-one or I'm going to get a bucket.
Williams leading the defensive effort as Abel steps in front of that pass for another takeaway.
Great job defensively by Matt Abel, really standing up to the physicality with Zayden High, a bigger player.
Copeland knew there was an open player. It was Williams missing from three. Abel sneaks in there in the middle of a trio of Carolina blue shirts. Young for three. We haven't been here the whole season. We've been here a lot, and it's hard to imagine it's been much louder in this building for an NC State game than this.
There's no team that you can bring in here to make this a louder building than the men in Carolina blue. This rivalry is like no other. I'm disappointed in the fact that these two teams will only play once this year. The ACC, when you think about this conference, North Carolina should play Duke, and they should play North Carolina State twice every year.
Young hits a three. ACC's done a lot right this year. They cut their conference schedule. They embrace non-conference. They've scheduled better. The league is much better. But there's one thing we agree that could be rectified next year. Get these two teams to Chapel Hill and Raleigh. 250 meetings deep. They deserve to play twice a year.
And especially when you've got this type of action going on. Darian Williams playing against a bigger player, takes an elbow right to the scarred area. However, doesn't stop him from getting a bucket. A little wince on the way back and checks out afterwards. But still, 13 points for Darian Williams, an efficient 6 of 10 from the field.
Wolfpack players in double figures. Abel's one of them. He has three more. 4 of 5 from deep. 14 for Matt Abel, and Williams leads the roar.
And how about the fact that Matt Abel, as a freshman, is able to play his first rivalry game against the Tar Heels and have this type of performance. Remember, Abel was able to check into the game 30 seconds in after the injury to Trey Holloman. So it's almost as though he started this game and has been great ever since he stepped on the floor.
Season high just 3 days ago. He's just 3 points away from matching that. Kid who is looked at as a potential NBA player, maybe as early as next year, 6'6" freshman. High for Stevenson. Copeland read it. It's another Carolina turnover. You don't see this very often. North Carolina -9 in the turnover battle today.
And these are two of the best teams in the ACC as far as turnover percentage. But the Wolfpack have been very disruptive on the defensive end of the floor throughout this game.
To be fair to them, they lead the ACC in turnovers created. Abel, the whole bench jumping when he caught the ball.
It's great defensive recovery by Seth Trimble. And that's going to be a backcourt violation.
Thursday night, North Carolina's women's team is in action, taking on Virginia Tech in an ACC doubleheader on ACC Network. Stanford and Miami follow. Those games are both streaming on the ESPN app. Tar Heels try to bounce back from a loss at Duke on Sunday. Under 8 to play. Trimble can't get past Copeland. Powell. A brick wall built by the Wolfpack defense has led to a bevy of bricks. Holloman, not the highest percentage shot of the evening. Trimble might have gotten away with a walk, and that's out of bounds. Or first it'll be a foul. Free throws coming for High. It's been all NC State. We're looking forward to that, guys. Those are two of the 10 SEC teams Joe Lunardi has in the projected field. The Big Ten right behind there with 10, and then the ACC matching the Big 12 with 8 projected teams. Joe Lunardi has these teams projected as 6 and 8 seeds respectively. Carolina on the 6 line, NC State on the 8 line. NC State only has 3 wins right now against the projected field: Clemson, SMU, and then Liberty, who's unbeaten in Conference USA. So this would be a really nice resume boost, Corey, for the Wolfpacks to try to secure an NCAA bid.
It would be, absolutely, but when you consider that NC State with the careless turnover, Terrence Arsenault throwing the basketball into Sanye, who's not looking, but outside of Duke, no one in the ACC has more quad 1 and 2 wins combined than do NC State. Duke, I believe, has 15. NC State has 12, so they may not have as many quad 1 wins, but outside of the Georgia Tech game, they don't really have bad losses.
3 and 6 in the first quadrant, 9 and 1 quad 2. Those are determined by the net rankings. As High got his first career double-double is fouled.
And right now, NC State ranked 29th in the net. North Carolina at 25, so a quad 1 opportunity for both these teams. As Will Wade not happy about the call that sends Zayden High to the free throw stripe. You know, from the look of that, I don't believe that Will agreed with Pat Driscoll's explanation.
Boy, you are a body language expert. Dr. Alexander. High has hit 5 in a row from the line. Certainly makes for good theater, Will Wade. He'd be great as a silent film star.
He's the best interview in the ACC. I mean, hands down, press conferences, interviews, and he's an open book. He'll tell you exactly what he's feeling.
Oh, yeah. I think he's taken the post-game press conference championship belt away from Mick Cronin this year, though it's been quite a battle between those two. Will had another dandy Saturday. Abel misses a 3. Moussa Sanye cleans it up. First bucket for Sanye. Powell slips and turns it over. Arsenault attacking. Long steps, missed it, and Sagne got pushed in the back. Be careful to make sure nothing gets out of hand here in the final 6.5. That's the 4th foul on High.
Well, Sagne staying on the offensive glass, gets fouled, chasing one possession, and then Will Wade excited about the action from his team. Sagne coming off the bench and giving them quality minutes after being injured in the first half and having to leave the floor.
The Will Wade wink. We might see that one again on the internet. Signed a 6-year deal in March. Will Wade, who has certainly returned from college basketball exile for being fired on the eve of the 22 tournament at LSU for multiple alleged NCAA infractions. Went to McNeese, won there for 2 years, and has resurfaced to major college basketball at NC State, signing a 6-year deal into the year. One of the winningest coaches by win percentage in the country. Sagne hits the front end of the 1-and-1.
Will Wade is perfect for today's climate in college basketball. And he tells his players the truth. Just like he does with the media, he does not mince words. He tells his players the truth. He understands that today's game is much more transactional. College basketball used to be much more of a relationship-driven game. Now it is much more transactional, and Will Wade tells his players the truth about their performance.
And he broke the rules. He admits it. Arsenault. My goodness.
So a 4-point possession for the Wolfpack gives the Tar Heels their largest deficit of this season. Now down 23 in this rivalry game.
Bogovac with a 3. When your biggest concern is making sure your players don't spill out on the floor in celebration, you're having a good day. NC State by 20. The story of the game in facial expressions and in winks and in smiles from Will Wade. Said he would bring the red reckoning to Raleigh, and it has been a red reckoning from the get-go tonight. 20-point lead for NC State. Zayden High has just fouled out of the game for North Carolina.
And Will Wade pumps his fist knowing that's the 5th foul, but more importantly excited for Ben Allen Lubin to be able to get to the free throw line. Against this team, Claudia Copeland.
Oh my!
Just whispering in Zayden High's ear that I believe that was your 5th.
Zayden High is unceremoniously saluted on the way out. 12 and 10 for High in his 2nd start in a row, 2nd career start. The context for North Carolina is, once again, they were without their 2 leading scorers, Caleb Wilson and Henry Vessar. We did get, by the way, an amazing stat from Steve Kirshner, the North Carolina Sports Information Director, that they tracked the Carolina history all the way back to the start of the ACC. They said only once since the inception of the ACC in 1953, one time 73 years, had North Carolina played a game without the players who would be their top 2 leading scorers at the end of the season. One time in 7 decades, and they've done it now back-to-back games.
And that one time was in 1978, I believe. And I know one of the top 2 scorers was Phil Ford. And they lost that game here at NC State, not in this building. It was at Reynolds Coliseum. And they lost that game by 5.
Michael Corrin was the other. February 23rd, 1978, about a week away from the anniversary, as NC State won 72-67. 3 times in the ACC era. So they hope they'll get both players back, and they hope Henry Vessar relatively soon. He was sick last week. They say, the Carolina folks, he's no longer sick, but still dealing with a lower extremity issue. And Caleb Wilson, with the broken bone in his left hand, is also out indefinitely. There they are, Wilson and Vessar. You said one of the best front courts in the nation, up there with Florida, among others. Michigan certainly has to be in that conversation, winning at Purdue tonight. 101 for Abel. Don't forget, Georgia and Kentucky will follow us here. Super Tuesday doubleheader. Wildcats have played well in the league, 8-2 in their last 10. Right here on ESPN, a great SEC matchup to follow as Abel goes 2 for 2. .16 for Abel, 1 shy of his season high, set just a game ago. Double team against Stevenson. Carolina didn't get out of it quickly enough. Trimble. Really tough night for Seth Trimble, 1 for 9.
Well, and when you take away Vessar and you take away Caleb Wilson, Seth Trimble immediately goes to the top of the scouting report at 19 points versus Pittsburgh on Saturday. And he's the one guy that Will Wade wants to make sure they take away. And they've done that here with a strong defensive effort.
Olivaux grabs the miss by Young. Carolina has never been within single digits in the second half. Faced their largest deficit of the season at 23. Dixon misses a 3. What do you think Carolina will learn from a beatdown like this?
Not much you really can learn from this, especially when you're playing without both your bigs. You hope to be able to get Vessar back in action relatively soon. But if not, I mean, I do think that North Carolina did a pretty good job when they were executing, running guys off of screens, trying to open them up for three-point opportunities in comparison to shooting a bunch of stand-around shots that no one created for them.
It's been all NC State. Quadir Copeland will go to the line of 22. ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by Progressive Insurance. Bundle home and auto and save. Visit progressive.com. And old school SEC battle in Lexington, guys, as we look at what NC State has coming up. They've got a week in between games, Corey, and a tough road test at Virginia next Tuesday.
But remember, this team has been even better on the road than they have at home in ACC play. 6-1 on the road. And when you give Will Wade a full week to prepare for a tough task at Virginia, going to be a great matchup between two of the better teams in the ACC.
Tough closing stretch. NC State still has a shot at a top 4 seed. That would mean a double bye in the ACC tournament starting in mid-March. Jonathan Powell gets the little bounce to fall. Tough shooting night for North Carolina, which is at 32%.
And we talk about getting Henry Vessar back, possibly getting Caleb Wilson back in the postseason, maybe even ACC tournament. You don't root for anyone, but I would absolutely root for a rematch of this game with those two guys in the fold.
McNeil. Paul McNeil becomes the 5th Wolfpack player in double figures, and Quadir Copeland adds his 7th assist. Stevenson will finish.
That was great hands by Jaron Stevenson at full speed to be able to catch that basketball and bring it back in for 2. Stevenson and Zayden High have performed. You couldn't have asked any more from those guys in this matchup. However, it's been the perimeter players that really have not shown up for the Tar Heels in this game.
Lubin, a little shove to Stevenson, and the old Tar Heel scores over the new Tar Heel to make it a 24-point lead. And NC State is going really deep into the bench right now. It's going to be Jordan Snell coming off the bench as Will Wade takes a substitution timeout. And listen to the ovation for Zero. We'll be back in 30 seconds. Soak it up, Jordan. Back to Raleigh where the Wolfpack are emptying the bench. Allen Breed. Jordan Snell. No! Tracked down by Jonathan Powell, who is fouled. Jordan Snell in his 27th career game, the 4-year NC State player getting some late run. Hey, Friday, great NBA doubleheader. Mavericks, T-Wolves, Clippers, Lakers. NBA tip-off starts at all at 6:30 Eastern on ESPN. And careful there, Jordan.
No, don't. It's too late to be careful. He just got a technical foul.
That is amazing.
Now, I'll tell you, Jordan Snell, one of my favorite players on this Wolfpack roster, has been here. His dad was a coach here for 3 years. He's now a senior and decided to stay with the new staff with Will Wade. And with the missed free throw, now this crowd, even though it's a technical free throw, what they miss, there will be free, I'll let you guess what restaurant, sandwiches for everyone.
No chicken tonight.
No.
How often
the game's not over.
How often do you see, Corey, a walk-on get a technical?
Well,
and not a walk-on complaining from the bench.
Let's start with, although he's one of my favorites, he's also a favorite of Will Wade. Will Wade absolutely loves Jordan Snell. Jordan Snell was in a walking boot, during the 6-game winning streak for the Wolfpack. And so out of the boot, they have not won a game. So this is their first win in 1 minute and 29 seconds of game action, barring a miraculous comeback by the Tar Heels that Jordan Snell will be a part of in uniform.
This crowd will not rest unless Jordan Snell gets another shot attempt. 12 career points in now his 27th game. Abel. Oh, yeah!
Tell you what, he has been special this evening.
New season high.
Well, stepping in the game, well, that'd be a career high for a freshman. He's stepping in the game 30 seconds in after Trey Holloman is injured.
Snell's got the rebound.
And Will Wade is telling him, let's go.
Breed. Maybe one more shot for NC State today. Celebratory evening here at Lenovo. Breed will get it back to Arsenault. Arsenault, step back three is short. Isaiah Dennis getting some late run for North Carolina. The 250th meeting between these teams. There haven't been a lot of results like this in recent years. And NC State, from just about the very first minute, put their foot down in this rivalry game. Snell's going to hoist a logo three with the shot clock off. Will Wade doesn't love it. Will Wade will love this score. The largest win for NC State against North Carolina since 1962. A red reckoning, a demolition of the Tar Heels as NC State wins 82-58. And Will Wade comes out a big winner in his first taste of the Carolina State rivalry.
And the only scheduled meeting between these two teams for the first time in 107 years they won't play in Chapel Hill. Hopefully, we get to see them at the Spectrum Center in Charlotte.
I sure hope so. That's Corey Alexander. I'm Kevin Brown. Thanks for being with us. Great basketball coming up. But before Lexington, we go to the studio.
Meantime, NC State. Look at what they've done while unranked against ranked opponents. 20 victories after what they did to North Carolina tonight. No Caleb Wilson, no Henry Vesar, both sidelined, but no mercy from Paul McNeil in the pack.
Yeah, Paul McNeil coming behind that little wide pin down. This game was domination. Now, look, North Carolina played without their two best players in Vesar and Caleb Wilson. It was not a fair fight. But this game means something. This thing means something in recruiting, and this game means something in terms of bringing NC State basketball back. And that guy, Quader Copeland, is a match-up problem.
According to Joe Lenardi, no damage done to Carolina after the Wolfpack win.
Stay in the ACC. This one you might...
Circus.
Yeah, you can kind of see this one coming. NC State had the legend, David Thompson, in the building, and they needed this one. They let one get away against Miami. North Carolina's a little bit wounded at this point. That's Matt Abel. Quader Copeland in transition, packs up 11. 11-point lead. Copeland, 13 first-half points, hangs and hits. State played from comfortably ahead.
Yeah.
Again, this is one you need. You really got to have. Beautiful spin, and it's an 18-point game. Copeland, Abel, catch and shoot. Cookies. That's the largest win over Carolina since '62 for the Pack.
Welcome to Nothing But Net, presented by T. Rowe Price.
Number 16 UNC at NC State. NC State was coming off two big losses. They played with some fire underneath them. Just over 12 minutes left in the first half. NC State is leading by 8. Matt Abel hits a three-pointer. Wolfpack go up 22-11 here. And then just 1 minute later, NC State is leading by 10. Trey Holloman finds Abel for the three-pointer. I mean, that's real nice. Wolfpack up 25-12, just over 7 minutes to go. NC State, they lead by 9. Quader Copeland gets the steal and makes the Euro step layup. Wolfpack up 29-18. I mean, and he makes it look easy. 2 minutes later, NC State leads by 11. Copeland drives to the basket and makes the contested layup. All right.
And he flexes on him. You got to mention that.
He's talking some ish. I mean, I think he kind of can, right, Luke? What do you think?
For that at this point.
You okay with it? Or how about this shot?
Showing the dance moves too, and he's going to let you know about it. The guy's playing with an edge. Just what Will Wade wants.
All right, just over 9 minutes to go. NC State leads by 17. Copeland passes to Abel for the open three. I mean, what can't he do? Abel, 19 points, 5 from 7 from the three. Wow, what a game. I mean, Will Wade said it a few weeks ago. Teams playing soft. I don't know that they're playing soft anymore. All right, this was a game. NC State gets the win. All right, coming up, don't look now, but Florida State is playing as well as anybody in the ACC, but they had to come back from a huge deficit against BC. We're going to talk about the Noles here. But first, we're going to talk about NC State because they got a big dub. What stands out to you about this game?
I thought Matt Abel came out really aggressive. I thought he and QC really set the tone for NC State. They played with an edge, they played angry, and they absolutely swallowed up the guards for UNC. They were bigger, they were physical, they were angrier. NC State, a great win. You completely took UNC out of their game, had them flustered from the jump. This is a UNC team that's got to figure out a lot of things. It's understandable. You lose two front court pieces like they have. You got to figure some things out, but they ran into an absolute hornet's nest with NC State in this game.
That's a good way to describe it. So what does the future hold for UNC and the Tar Heels without Vesar and Wilson? Potentially for the rest of the season, we don't know, undetermined, but
I'm looking at the roster, and I see trouble without those guys. To be honest, I don't see the guards being able to carry them in a way that makes them certainly the 16th ranked team in the country. They are not that without Caleb Wilson and Henry Vesar. They got a lot of work to do and a lot of things to figure out. NC State had 4 turnovers for the game. Those guards were unbothered.
That's a
by UNC.
ridiculous stat.
Absolutely. 4 turnovers for the game. UNC has a lot of things to figure out.
All right, former Tar Heel Van Allen Lubin enjoyed the game and even brought a prop to the post-game press conference. Take a listen to this.
We performed what we left on the court down there. I just want to shout out to my guys who made this belt for me and for the team. Just represents what we're going to continue to do to the rest of the team this season.
Is it kind of knock on what Carolina's been doing with their belt?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, for sure.
They was talking. They was talking a lot of we going North Carolina schools this, North Carolina schools that. So it's crazy how fast the tables turn. And we bedazzled our belt too for them.
What's your reaction to that? That's great.
I don't know if I would have done that. It's not like Caleb Wilson and Henry Vesar can't come back. It's not like you can't see them in the ACC tournament. I don't know if I would have gone that far. They played great. They were at home. They dominated the game. They should celebrate. I don't know if I would have brought the belt out and talked all that much in the post-game press conference, because for a fact that UNC is going to use that if they get the chance to play NC State again, and they will be fired up for that.
Oh, that's going to be played in the locker room probably tomorrow when they go and watch film.
I don't think there's any doubt about that.
Yeah, all right.